Hey, welcome to episode 4 of the Fans Huddle podcast. I'm Mark. I'm here with Chris and Derek. Boys, another big week of football. How are we doing?
Doing great. Glad to be here.
Good. All right. Let's
Yeah,
go.
Derek, you feeling okay about those dogs dropping down to number 2?
Woo. About gave me a heart attack, but I feel okay about the number 2 ranking. I think that's where we should be right now.
All right. And Chris, Packers got a good victory on the weekend. Not many people picked them. I thought they ground out a good one.
It was like watching 1965 football again. So it was like taking a step back in time. So it was something to watch. Talk about
But you'll
that
take a
little bit
W, right?
Hey, W is a
Yeah,
W.
take a W for sure.
Yeah.
All right. We got a lot to talk about today. We're going to start with college football, head into the NFL. So let's kick it off. Derek, I'll start with you. First topic here, Oregon back. Don't want to jump the gun, but they look better offensively. They went out, did their job very efficiently. Do we think they're back in as a contender again?
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, like I said, I think Oregon's a very good football team, and they looked, really good offensively on Saturday against Oregon State, and which they underneath Dan Lanning, their coach, they've gone 1-1 so far against Oregon State. So I'm not saying it was a huge victory over like this top competitor, but it was a good victory, and they won, by like 21 points or 25 points, I believe.
35.
Oh, 35.
Smoked them.
I think
Wow.
49-14 was the final.
Oh, I thought it was 39. But yeah, well, great. Yeah, they look good.
Yeah, Dylan Gabriel had a really efficient game, 20 of 24, 291, 2 touchdowns. It really struggled to start the year off, so I think they'll be pleased to see it. Might not be a ranked team, but it's a step in the right direction.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Chris, you catch the game at all?
I did not watch that one. No. Oregon State's not I'm not the biggest college guy. I like college football, right? But, I'm not watching Oregon State. I'm sorry.
Yeah. You're kind of staying. You want to watch the big matchups.
I watch the big matchups. Yes.
Right.
Well, they've got Ohio State in a few weeks, so hopefully by then they're really in the groove and they're.
Yeah, and I really do believe in, and just to, I do believe in Dan Lanning, like I said, and great coach at Georgia. I mean, heck of a defensive coordinator when he was with us, and I think he has that program going in the right direction. So I think Oregon's going to be solid underneath Dan Lanning for quite a while.
All right. Well, you mentioned the Dogs there, and we spoke about them at the start of the show, but let's dig in. They looked a little shaky on the offensive side of the ball against Kentucky. Defensively strong, got away with the win. What do you feel about the game? What needs to improve? Are you nervous, or is it just a blip in the road?
Yeah, so many thoughts. Obviously, huge. Being a huge Georgia fan, I know that they've struggled on the road against Kentucky. So I knew it was going to be. Kentucky got blew out by South Carolina last week, so I did expect us to come out, and have a pretty good game against them. My problem is it was way too close for comfort. I could have pulled my hair out. Offensively, we really struggled literally the whole game. I was proud of our defense. Our defense held them to field goals, but my thoughts are you can look at it a couple ways. You had Brock Vandagriff, obviously, 3 years in the system at Georgia, transferred to Kentucky this year as a starting quarterback. Also, a starting linebacker, Johnson Dumas, was a 2-year starter as a linebacker for Georgia, transferred to Kentucky. So 2 players that have a lot of experience being in the Georgia program. I'm not sure how much Mark Stoops pulled out of them. Obviously they knew what looks they were looking at. Kentucky's front 7 was all over us. And then I hear Georgia fans after the game again. It's Mike Bobo. Well, no, it's not. The problem is what I feel the problem is Georgia has hung their hat on being a second half team for far too long. This is even back to the Mark Richt days, Chris. I mean, you know this. Georgia's always been a very strong second half team. The problem I have with Georgia is they do not get off to that hot start like I want them to get off to. And so is it that Kentucky knew some of those schemes going into that game? I'm not sure. Or is it Georgia just had a very off game, which they typically have once a year? They did have one against Auburn last year and Missouri 2 years ago. And so but no, Kirby Smart's the best coach in college football. I trust my Bulldogs. I think it was an off game. I also don't think that Mike Bobo opened up the playbook because they have not only Alabama coming up, they also have Texas and Ole Miss and Tennessee. They have 4 matchups against 4 teams in the top 6 right now, and 3 of those games are away. So, how much are you really going to show when you have a Kentucky team? You're going to stick to the basics. You're not opening up that playbook. So I think we struggled because I don't think we, like I said, didn't think we opened up the playbook. I don't think Kentucky knew exactly what we were going to run. It was very, obvious, and I'm glad we got out with a W. That's all I can ask for.
Chris, any thoughts?
2 things. First, Brock Vandagriff. Okay, he looked like Joe Dirt meets a 1970s porn star. Okay, so I like the dude. I like what he had going on. So as far as Georgia though, when I watched that game, the first thing that jumped out to me is like, this is a Brock Bowers game, right? This is a game where they need somebody like that, a veteran that's gonna like catch the ball and like put the team on his shoulders when they need just a score or some yards or a first down. And it just feels like at this point, they haven't found that person. So, you look at their box score, you had Dominic Lovett, who had 6 for 89. And after that, nobody had more than 2 catches. So who else on that receiving squad is going to take over? McConkey's gone, Bowers are gone. All these veteran guys who didn't really put up huge stats per se, but you just could feel their presence on the team when they played the games. They're not there. And they need to find that very quickly because like Derek just said, the road is just going to get harder and harder and harder as the season goes along. So it's not getting easier. We've seen Georgia have slow starts in the past. We've seen them struggle on the road in early season games. It's been under Rick, it was like every year you could just expect one of the first 3 weeks they would lose to a South Carolina or like, we'd get rocked by Florida back in the day. And Kirby Smart has really changed the program for the better. And he usually has his guys ready and they make the necessary adjustments. They have 2 weeks now before they have to play Alabama, so they have plenty of time. So if they don't compete with Alabama, everybody should expect that they should. But if they don't, that's going to signal a little bit of problems for this team moving forward. Because like I said, like Derek said, the schedule gets harder and harder and harder. I think it's a good wake-up call for them. Thank God they got out of there with a W, because if they had lost that game, that's a pretty big asterisk on your schedule for the season when the playoffs come around. But they got out with a W. Hopefully, it put everybody on notice that like these teams are coming to play, and they'll come out with a lot more energy and intensity in the next game. I think they were just looking way past Kentucky. I think they were looking for their bye and looking at Alabama, and they just cannot score enough points. So hopefully, it's just a blip and not a trend. But we will find out very shortly.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I think they had one eye on the 28th in a couple of weeks against Alabama. It was a pretty intense environment there. A lot of Kentucky fans showed up and made it a home game. And yeah, I agree, Derek. I think that they are definitely holding back the playbook a little bit for these bigger games. So I'm excited to see what happens in a couple of weeks. I saw Kirby on the sideline absolutely tear into them at some point, and I thought he was going to have a heart attack.
Love it. I sit there watching the game, and I love seeing but Kirby Smart on the sideline when he gets that angry.
Yeah.
I love it. But yeah, they're not going to give away too much with these big matchups coming up. They just can't, because they need those.
Yeah.
They need those victories. And like I said, and Mark, when you text me too, I think you text me at halftime or text us at halftime saying, it was close against Clemson too, and I was just thinking, it's just playing Clemson in the at Mercedes-Benz in Atlanta is a lot different than playing Kentucky at Kentucky in the SEC. It's just regardless of what we think, it's tough to win in the SEC regardless. It's hard.
Okay, so from one SEC team to another, the new number 1 ranked team in the nation, Texas. Quinn Ewers injured. Arch Manning comes in, dominates. It's kind of unfair that a team can have this much depth, but you talk about Georgia maybe closing the playbook or being a bit slow. Texas are just rolling at the moment, 56-7. Again, you had 3 quarterbacks play between them all, 6 touchdowns, over 500 yards, 80% completion. They looked really good, and they've been on a roll since the season started.
Yeah, they
deserve to be number 1 right now. So, nobody, I don't think anybody's going to object to them being ranked number 1 right now, the way that they have looked. Thankfully, when their quarterback went down for them, though, they were playing the UTSA Roadrunners. So I don't know. For Arch Manning, I don't know if that was a true testament to if he is, really that good, or if they were just playing, bad competition. So I think going forward, who's supposed to start next week? Did they say who's playing the next game? Was Arch Manning? I think Arch Manning is supposed to play again.
I think possibly they're hoping for a quick recovery though on Ewers at the moment.
I mean, that's the luxury they have. If it's a niggling injury, they can sit him. They've got LA and Monroe next week.
Yeah, they don't need him
kill
for that.
them. They don't need him. But it's exciting. I mean, he's going to get a lot of attention. A Manning playing quarterback.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I loved his run, and the Manning brothers kind of saying that didn't get that from us. That was from Mum. But I'm happy for him. A lot of pressure on him just with his name alone. So, he looked really good, and I think he's gonna have a good future. But Texas looks scary. Any other thoughts on Texas before we go on?
No, I think I'm with you though, Mark. I think Manning is he's probably the best backup.
Yeah.
In the country for sure.
For sure. All right, LSU and the Gamecocks. Really good game. Great atmosphere out there. College game day was out there. It was popping off, and I thought South Carolina had it there for a minute. I thought Chip Kelly was going to burst another valve, but came around, got the victory. But it was a good one for sure.
That game was so exciting. I watched the whole game. South Carolina was up 17. Was it Mark 17-3 or 17-0?
Yeah. That had a good lead.
Had a good lead. Their starting quarterback got hurt, Lenoris Sellers, which I've really enjoyed watching him play. He's talented. He's very mobile. He can throw the ball pretty well. But he got hurt, and then LSU made that comeback. And but yeah, good victory on LSU. They came back, won it with a last-minute field goal, and also I don't know if you watched that game. That on defensively, I think the Gamecocks had 2 interceptions called back on penalties.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Pat Mahomes playing down there.
What's that?
Sorry. No, the stat, Patrick Mahomes has had 17 interceptions called back on penalties in his career.
Exactly.
I was segueing there.
Yeah,
Lenoris Sellers, not great numbers throwing the ball, 9 from 16, no touchdowns, interception, but running 2 touchdowns, almost 9 yards a carry. So he's a dual threat, and entertaining. But again, you said it earlier, when you're in the SEC, it's going to be a tough game when you play away, and it was tough. I think LSU should be proud of that result because there was a time when they looked down and out, and they could have easily lost that game, but they made a comeback and they got the win.
Yeah, you got to be happy for Brian Kelly. I mean, you couldn't afford to lose that one. I mean, not at LSU, so good victory. And like I said, I do like that Sellers kid. He's a heck of a player, and I think if he would have stayed in the game, I think South Carolina might have edged it out. But it's football.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on them. All right, what are we looking forward to this week? There's a couple of good games on. A lot of ranked games I saw, which is exciting. So what's catching your eye, Derek?
USC and Michigan. It's going to be a good one. There's also Tennessee and Oklahoma. I'm looking forward to that one. It's going to be Oklahoma's first SEC game. I'll be playing at home against Tennessee, so that'll be cool to watch. And then keep an eye out for Georgia Tech and Louisville. Might be a pretty good little matchup. Was ranked number 19 at the moment. And Utah and Oklahoma State. Utah is ranked number 12, Oklahoma State 14, so I think that'll be a pretty good game as well.
Yeah, and Illinois and Nebraska will be another good one.
Oh yeah.
That's 24 and 22, and that's on Friday. So we got a full slate. Chris, any games caught your eye outside of those?
Yeah, I was just harping back on what y'all were talking about with LSU and South Carolina and kind of the games coming up. Can we stop with this nonsense on the Big Ten being just as good as the SEC? I mean, Alabama went into Wisconsin and just beat the crap out of them, and it wasn't even close. So a 3-loss team in the SEC is better than a 1-loss team in the Big Ten. So Big Ten folks, just we're gonna see USC and Michigan go toe to toe. I know USC just beat LSU, but LSU is like in the middle tier of the highest echelon of the SEC teams right now. So just y'all get, Michigan got their little trophy or whatever. Just be happy with that, okay? And let's move on. The SEC is better. So I'm a Wisconsin guy. I was always a Big Ten guy, but the facts are the facts. So just Big Ten folks, just tamper down a little bit, okay?
I mean,
Whoever went, just temper expectations a little bit, so you're not going to be disappointed. That's all.
All right. So first of all, whose expectations are out there that are saying the Big Ten's better than?
All the Big Ten folks say the Big Ten's better than the SEC.
Yeah,
They all say
sure.
it.
Okay.
Go talk to the Ohio State fan base.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I have a lot of friends there. Second point, Michigan's little trophy.
Yeah, their little trophy.
A little bigger than little, but
I mean, they get one every 10 years, and they act like they're the best conference or whatever, and it's just
Not
ridiculous.
Even that. Not even that, Chris. They got the last
1997.
Not even
that.
97.
There were a lot of Wisconsin people who thought they had a chance in that game before it started. Like it was a lot of Wisconsin folks been like, "Oof, they're coming to our house. They never Camp Randall."
Well, now we'll hear that the quarterback went out in the first. They'll say the quarterback got hurt, and I think Van Dyke was hurt in the first 5 minutes of the game.
The blowout, no matter what.
I agree with you 100%. Alabama went in there to whoop ass.
Just
and they
saying,
did, so.
You Michigan, you Ohio State folks. I hear Penn State every once in a while. The Wisconsin folks. No. Just easy. You got the Pac-12 teams, and you're still not as good. So it's all right. Just take it down. And that's all I have to say about that. That's just my personal.
Just go ahead and let Notre Dame join the Big Ten. I mean,
that's another middling team.
Join in on that too.
They fit right in. They fit right in the Big Ten. Absolutely.
I mean, they're right there. They should really be in it. I don't know what's holding them back.
Yeah.
If you okay, Mark, so you don't agree with me. So just if you took the top 6, no. I just want your opinion on that. If you took the top 6 teams in the Big Ten, they played the top 6 teams in the SEC. What would be the record? What would be the win-loss record?
I was going to say, I think overall SEC is definitely the stronger conference. But when you get the top teams, you take the top 4 of each, it'll be competitive. Like at their best, Michigan, Ohio State, Oregon, Penn State, maybe. And then, Alabama, Georgia, Texas, and,
But here's the problem. You run the numbers, 12 slots, right? And you're going to probably have 5 SEC teams in there.
Yeah.
Percentage-wise, you're telling me, I mean, I just don't see a let's just say a Big Ten team did, get that. Even at the bye, they still have to play. They're probably going to end up playing 2 SEC teams.
Yeah, look, I'm not disagreeing with you. I think the SEC is better, but the Big Ten is a competitive conference. I think it's a good rivalry. I like it.
It's definitely more competitive now since they expanded.
Yeah, more competitive now.
Sure.
Still a joke.
One more point about college I forgot to bring up was FSU paying $1.4 million to go to 0-3.
Not even relevant.
Has there been a bigger, I guess, choke? Not a choke, but a team to come in ranked in the top 10 with such high expectations to not just lose here and there. Like they haven't won a game, and I think they've lost 3 now unranked teams: Georgia Tech, Boston College, and was it Minnesota on the weekend? Who'd they lose to? I don't even know who it was.
Oh, they lost to Georgia Tech, Boston College, and Memphis.
Memphis, there you go. I get those 2 mixed up.
I mean, yeah. I think it's only happened, Mark. I think it's only happened 9 times in the history of college football.
What, where
a team has been ranked in the top 10 and lost the first 3 games the next
first
year.
3, yeah.
And, I mean, you think about that. I don't think it's happened, and I think the last time it happened was 50 years ago. So
wild. And is it just the quarterback play? Is there a bigger thing? Because they were a top, they were a playoff team almost last year. So what, did they lose that many players that this drop off is, explainable, or what's going on?
It's not explainable because, you have programs like Georgia, Ohio State, Alabama. Right. They're losing players every year to the draft, at least 10 to 12 players a year. Florida State, they were hot. They were talking about, we brought in these transfers from all these other colleges, these universities this year, and they were like, we look pretty stout. And there's no, Mike Norvell's been head coach long enough. There's no excuses.
Mm-hmm.
They have completely fell apart in Tallahassee.
Wild.
And yeah, I'm telling you, if I'm a Florida State fan, I have no trust into Mike Norvell as a head coach right now.
Nor should you.
I mean, you went undefeated last year. and then, complain about not making it into the college football playoffs. What better opportunity for you to start this year to a hot start, right? And then, I mean, yeah, and it is quarterback play. It's offense. It's defense. It's everything. I mean, I've watched them in all three of those games, and they do not look like a ranked team. I mean, period.
Well, rebuild for them. All right. Moving on to the NFL. Big week, a lot of upsets. We want to start on Thursday night and go through that game and talk about Tua.
Yeah.
I'll start by saying I think the Bills looked really, really good. They've surprised me a lot. I thought that was going to fall off a little bit, but they've looked a lot better than what they have last year. I think they're one of the best teams in the AFC. I think they're a team that can challenge the Dolphins. I don't know, they seem stale. This crazy offense they had last year just isn't working, and then you have issues with Tua, and he's been put on IR today, so he's out for the next 4 weeks, and there's going to be, I think, a lot of conversations, not just with the team, but with doctors, family, friends. He's got a lot to think about because, it just seems every time he gets hit on the head, he's going limp and stiff and getting hurt, and there's not too much more hits he can really take. But what are your guys' thoughts on the game and Tua's future?
I'll start with the Bills. I think they have had the Dolphins' number since Josh Allen's been there. So I don't think it was surprising that they won the game. I think it was surprising the fashion that they won the game. But by the time Tua had gotten hurt, I mean, that game was pretty much already over. So that really didn't impact the outcome of the game. The Bills are running the ball more. Josh Allen is not making those costly turnovers, and they're playing good defense, and it's leading to wins. On the Dolphins side, I think people underestimated the Dolphins' run game from last year. Didn't Raheem Mostert have like 18 touchdowns last year on Achane? And they really would run. I know it seems weird when you got Tyreek Hill and Waddle, but they really would run and then to set up the pass. And the running game, Mostert was out. Achane, he was there, but he almost didn't play. The running game just hasn't been the same early in the season. And as far as Tua, it's not the number of concussions that he's had, because we've had NFL players have a lot more than 3 diagnosed concussions. It's the optics of it. It's the way that he looks when he takes a concussion. He goes totally stiff and comatose on the field, and it's terrifying to watch. And I just think the visuals of it just look so bad. We're not neurologists here. I can't predict his overall health of how he's going to be, but that was not a hard hit in the NFL. And it just feels like if he continues to play, that's going to be an ancillary effect of it. He's going to have more of these concussions. So that's a decision for him to make, whether he wants to keep playing or not, or the Dolphins, if they want to pay him or not pay him, or, there's a lot of different moving parts with whether Tua is going to play going forward. And that's kind of my take on it.
Yeah. I think it's like you said, Chris, the severity of it. It's wild, his arms locked up like that. And like you said, it wasn't a big hit. You can't expect, I think if he does come back and returns, you're just scared to death for the guy. I mean, one hit could literally just, I hate to say it, but literally could turn him in, a vegetable at any point. He could, and like, also even now, I mean, just what can he be dealing with 10, 15 years down the road? Obviously, we know about all the effects of this kind of stuff happening, CTEs and stuff like that, Yeah, I felt for the guy. I saw it when it happened, and I was just like, man, just.
And the biggest thing is going to be interesting if he wants to come back, but the Dolphins don't want him to come back. It's going to be very interesting, because even though his contract's fully guaranteed, it's not in the sense that if you never play again, you don't get all that money, right? So, like, I don't know where his head's going to be at versus his health versus, his money, and where the Dolphins are at versus, like, we want to move on. We're worried about your health. So there's a lot of questions. And I feel for Dolphins fans, I feel bad, because there was a lot of hope going into the season that they were going to have a good year this year. And now with a backup quarterback, when their season hasn't really started how they wanted to, I don't see him coming back after 4 games. That's just my personal take on it. I just, after he's done that over, and they got in so much trouble. What was that one time he got that concussion and they put him back in the game? They said it was a back injury when he went comatose on the field. The Dolphins are going to be extra super careful, because they cannot get that bad publicity by putting him back on the field and him getting hurt again this year. So I don't know. It's interesting. We'll kind of see how it goes moving forward, but just sucks for the Dolphins to see what they can do this year.
Yeah. I haven't loved people coming out with these opinions. Oh, he should do this, he should do that. It's not really a situation that anyone's familiar with. I think the Dolphins did the right thing by putting him on IR, so there's no rush. You've got 4 weeks to chat to who you need to chat to the experts, chat to the family, chat to people you trust. And they're a tight-knit group down there. Mike McDonald looked visibly upset about it all. So I think they'll come to the right decision, and whatever it is, hopefully, he makes a full recovery and there's not too much long-term damage, to Derek's point, because it's, the CTE thing is such an unknown still. We're still learning about it, and it's not generally until after death when you study the brain that you can really look at it. So there's, those are things to take into consideration as well. Overall, yeah, Bills look really good. Dolphins, it's going to be a struggle for them, I think. They go away to Seattle this week, which I think is going to be a tough game for them, but we'll see. Sunday, first game I want to talk about, Saints and Cowboys. I cannot believe this result. Like, I can't explain it. Like, the Cowboys,
I believe it. I believe it. I took the Cowboys in the points. That's why. That's why it happened. Like Vegas was watching me pick the Cowboys.
You put the hugs on them. I got you.
Go ahead, keep going. I'm sorry, I interrupted you. You're right.
No, it was just like the Cowboys have so much scrutiny on them. They got the Dak deal done. They got the CD Lamb deal done. There was so much positivity in there. Jerry Jones is out there talking about how no one can do what he does and how last time he signed this, they won a Super Bowl. Their first home game of the year, everyone's pumped. Like, you see the video of when they open the gates and it's just people swarming in. Like, that was just set up for them to win comfortably, and they got blown out, like, all over the park. Kamara, 20 carries, 115 yards, 3 touchdowns. Derek Carr was incredible. He continues to prove people wrong. And I got 2 questions for you guys. One is, like, are the Cowboys maybe not as good as what people are making them out for? And then for the Saints, it's been 2 very, very big wins. We know the first one was against the Panthers, so we can't really go off that. But are the Saints maybe better than what we thought? Are they just in a bit of a hot streak right now?
Yeah, I mean, Dallas will do Dallas things. It's hard to tell me if it's much Saints or much Cowboys, right? Because the Cowboys beat the brakes off the Cleveland Browns the first week, and we were all kind of like, well, hold our horses a little bit. It's Deshaun Watson and all that stuff. And then they just came out so flat and so lifeless, and the Saints just punched them in the mouth in the first half. And I think what you were seeing, and we probably we didn't see this coming, but like I said, we had talked about before the season started, Dan Quinn leaving the Cowboys, going to the Commanders, and then, they have a new defensive coordinator, new scheme, and it might take a little bit of getting used to. But I mean, I don't think anybody saw this. I don't know. The rise of the resurrection of Alvin Kamara is, I don't know what's going on. What's he got? 7 touchdowns in his first 2 games or something like that? It's just crazy. And then the Saints, on the other hand, they played the Panthers the first week, so that was a bad barometer for us to test if they were a good team either. Me, I'm still confused about both of them. I don't know if the Saints are really good. I don't know if the Cowboys are bad. I'm still confused. All I got out of this game was just more confusion about both of these teams. So I don't know what's going to happen with these guys.
Yeah. As far as Dallas, I do think, they tend to be a little overrated every year, being America's team and all. I think it's a brand with Dallas Cowboys, just kind of like, kind of like I mentioned with like Notre Dame, like college football. It's kind of like, it's a brand, and I think people play into that. But yeah, Saints looked really good, and I mean they waxed them for sure. Wasn't expecting that, but I think the Saints have a new offensive coordinator too, which is Kubiak, right? Come over, and he's doing some. I mean, so far, like you said, you can't really gauge it against maybe the Panthers, but I mean, he did put up 40-something points 2 weeks in a row. One against the Dallas Cowboys, who a lot of people have, a lot of people do have going to the playoffs this year. So,
yeah. And the Cowboys, they had went 16-0 at home before that playoff game against Green Bay. And now in back-to-back home games, they've got blown off the field. And then those 16-0, I think they won by an average of 18 points a game. I mean, they usually just smoke people at home. That's been like their MO the last couple of years. And back-to-back weeks at home, because they played in Cleveland last week, they just got blown off the field on defense in both games. I just don't get it. I don't know. I'm confused.
Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah, Clint Kubiak, Derek. He was the passing game coordinator for the 49ers last year.
Yeah, he comes from the West Coast, the Shanahan,
That's
like,
right. Yep.
yeah, and that's the same LaFleur. He's a Shanahan, the West Coast system guy too. So maybe it's just that offensive scheme that the Cowboys have a different defensive coordinator last year. So I don't know. It just seems like they weren't ready to play.
Well, so far,
No.
I can tell you Saints offense looks a lot different than the Saints offense that I saw last year. So
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. For sure. All right. Next game. Another team 2-0 who I'm kind of shocked about. Minnesota Vikings over the 49ers.
Frisky
Again.
Mikey and Sam Darnold.
Again,
shouldn't never cut me.
I know, it's like just a regular NFL season when the MVP leader would be Baker Mayfield, Derek Carr, and Sam Darnold. So crazy. I mean, I think what I'm most impressed about was how impressed the 49ers were with the Vikings defensive scheme. Like Brock Purdy went up after the game to Brian Flores and was like, that was crazy. Like I've never faced that before. So Shanahan and his offense has always had this impossible to stop offensive juggernauts and all these big name players. So whatever Flores schemed up, like shut them out and they got the victory. I'm seeing a 97-yard touchdown from Justin Jefferson and seeing him really get his money's worth after being paid. As a Seahawks fan, I'm very happy to see the 49ers lose. But I couldn't believe this. Another one that I can't really explain, but great game.
Yeah, Vikings, I still think it's a little bit of fool's gold. They're having a nice little moment right now. Brock Purdy keeps losing Avengers. He lost C-Mac, and now there's no Debo. And then Kittle was a little banged up. So I think we're going to really see whether he's going to earn that money that he's about to be paid. So I think they were a little banged up, probably a little caught off guard. But the Vikings they're 2-0. Nobody expected, the Giants, like I said, that was a hard barometer to tell too because the Giants are terrible. But no, that was a good win for them. I don't think they're going to be a playoff team. I don't think they're going to be able to sustain it. But they have a nice little moment in Minnesota. Good for you guys. Enjoy it.
Yep.
Speaking of Giants, scored 3 touchdowns, conceded no touchdowns, lost. I mean, what? How does it happen? I know they're injured. Their kicker got injured. The only bright spot from the Giants was I thought Daniel Jones played okay. He wasn't the reason they lost. He got Malik Neighbors involved. He had 10 receptions and a touchdown. But I've never heard of a team scoring 3 touchdowns, conceding none, and losing.
Well, because they're the Giants, And you look at it, Daniel Jones had 28 throws. Malik Neighbors had 18 targets. So that's not something sustainable for him to get his. I mean, you can't just be like, let's throw it to Neighbors again and again and again and again and again. So, But I mean, it's the Giants. What do you expect? I don't know. My boy Jane Daniels a little better this week. Got a little better. He's improving. He looked too good week 1. He looked a little better. Now, if he needs to, throw it to my guy McLaurin, who I'm about to get from Derek in our fantasy league, but he needs to throw it to the right guy. He starts doing that, he'll be all right.
Yeah,
but no,
I mean, he's getting targets, too, but he's not connecting, right now. But he will. I mean, he's like I said, second NFL game. He's going to get better.
These rookie quarterbacks, they don't need to win games. They just need to not lose games. Don't turn the ball over. Let your defense play. Run the ball. They ran for 215 yards in that game. Brian Robertson Jr. is a great running back. So I think they'll have the right formula going forward. I'm still Washington. I'm still on that train. I'm not jumping off that train. After we saw in the NFC East this week, you can jump on any train you want. But except the Giants. They're cooked.
Yeah. Derek, I want to ask you about Marvin Harrison Jr. coming from that Ohio State tree. First game, he had, I think, 1 target, 4 yards. Everyone's like going, what are they going on? This week, 4 receptions, 130 yards, 2 touchdowns. Kyler Murray, perfect passer rating, completely different team, absolutely carved up. What do you make of it? I mean, like Harrison is expected to be a really great wide receiver, and now he's in the lead for Rookie of the Year, but he looked really good, as did the Cardinals.
Yeah, I mean, racking in those long balls on Sunday. Murray looked good too. I mean, that guy must escape. I mean, he could escape prison on Sunday. I mean, they couldn't get to him. He was all over the place throwing, and then Harrison was just getting open. I mean, just long throws, connecting. Like Harrison, great player in college. I think he's going to have as long as he stays healthy, a good NFL career. But Cardinals, man, I mean, it was entertaining watching them on Sunday for sure.
Yeah, they ran the ball well, threw the
Yeah.
ball well, defended well. I mean,
And
was
Connor,
the-
the running backs, I mean, he's underrated. I mean, I feel like he's underrated every year. He's such a good running back.
yeah, James Conner.
Yes.
Yeah. He's really good. Had a few injuries over the last few years, but when he gets going, yeah, he's a great one. I don't know. The Cardinals might be a sneaky playoff team. They look good all over. Buda Baker looked incredible. I think he had an off year last year, but Buda Baker is one of the best safeties in the league. He absolutely dominated. The Rams, I feel sorry for them, a few injuries, but
I want to know who the Rams strength and conditioning coaches are, and do they spend more time on the beach than they do like at SoFi? Because I'm not understanding what's going on with this team. They have been decimated by injuries every year since they won the Super Bowl. And I just don't. It's all lower extremity energy. It's always like knees or hamstrings or like ankle. I don't know what's going on with the Rams, but it's 2 weeks in and they're decimated. They have nobody left. So, and I know a lot of people picked them to win that division. I know none of us, me and Mark, we were talking about that. And we still said the 49ers were still the class of that division. But a lot of people picked the Rams to be a Super Bowl team.
Yeah,
and
a lot of people
right
were
now,
high on the Rams for sure.
Yeah, they're in big trouble of going 0-3. So I don't know. I feel bad for Stafford. I think he's going to start holding on to the ball too long now because he has nobody to throw to, and he's going to start getting beat up already at early age. So I don't know. I'm just like Kyler. Instead of playing video games, he listened to the podcast last week. So I think we talked about just throw it to Marvin Harrison Jr. And
so what we
Marvin
said.
Harrison Jr. That's exactly what we said. And I think he had all 4 of those catches and those yards and touchdowns, all of them like the first quarter and a half of the game. So
pretty quick. Yeah.
Good job, Kyler. Don't study that playbook. Okay, just listen to people.
Yeah,
on podcasts.
the guy that I played, the team I played this past week in fantasy. I mean, he had Harrison. I think it was like 30 points in the first quarter, and I'm just like, well, what do you do with that?
Good.
Yeah.
Chris, how you feeling about your Broncos? I mean, when I say your Broncos, you had them.
They're not my.
pretty high up.
No.
My high.
Well, when you're the only
were high on
person,
them on
when you're the only person that picks them to do well this year, then you're gonna get the tag.
Well, no. Not. I said like 8 and 9, 9 and 8. And I'm not jumping off that.
I think it's 10.
No, I did not say 10 and 7. I did not say 10 and 7. Now, Pittsburgh looks pretty good, especially on defense. But no, Denver, they got some tough games coming up. So yeah, I don't know if 9 wins. I would take the under on that right now if I had to. But it's okay. They're not my Broncos. Don't call them my Broncos. But
Speaking of the Steelers, what are y'all's thoughts on the Russell Wilson, Justin Fields situation?
Well, I was actually going to say something, and you guys chime in on this, but I think it has to be Russell Wilson. I mean, he didn't even play, and he got the game ball. I mean, has that ever happened before? Has anyone got a game ball without
the petty game ball?
The petty game ball.
Pittsburgh feels bad for him after what Seattle did to him, and feels like they owe him something because they're like, look, you're a great person, but you're a terrible quarterback now, so we'll give you a game ball for a game that you don't even play.
Fields should have gotten one too. I mean. You know what I'm saying? That's how he got done dirty by the Bears.
What is it?
I mean,
are we racing in the 4th grade running race where everyone gets a ribbon? Like, no, it was a joke. And I just know Russell would have gone home too and been like, I'm going to really cherish this. And I beat the Broncos. This meant a lot. So, dude, you didn't even play. Shut up. I just thought that was so lame.
I want to know in the modern NFL, how does a team like the Steelers play the same type of football for decades and decades? I don't see how it's possible. They're always competitive. They always play great defense. They always beat you with field goals. And most teams, go from offensive to defensive to bad to good. And like Pittsburgh, they're going to be another 9. They're going to be right there in the playoff in the wild card mix at 9 wins. 8 to 10 wins, playing nose hard defense,
the most
trying to run the
team
ball.
to watch in the NFL, but somehow end up like you said with a winning record. Pretty often. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know. I don't see how I just don't see how they sustain it. They just have a model and I guess they go with it and it works for them. So
Still curtain, baby. Still
I don't
curtain.
know.
But you would say over the last 5 years, maybe even longer, they're a quarterback away from like Super Bowl competing. And you've stayed the same because you've never been able to answer that quarterback question. So you've had this great defense, great schemes, just hanging in there at 9-8, making the playoffs, sneaking in. And if they had a quarterback, they would be one of the best teams. It's got to be frustrating.
I think they were one of the saddest teams when Dak signed that extension, because I think they were definitely eyeing
for
Dak
sure
to come to Pittsburgh and get rid of their two, I don't know, quarterbacks, I guess you call them, they got right now.
To answer your question, Derek, I don't think you change a team that's winning, no matter what. Like, do I think that Russell Wilson would go in here and be better? I don't know. They seem pretty all in on him to be the starter before he got injured, so maybe he would be better, but I wouldn't change anything right now.
Yeah, I agree with you.
All right, one of the better games of the week, one I was really excited to watch, and I was, everything it delivered. Chiefs Bengals. Even though the Bengals lost, I think they walk away from this game more than what the Chiefs did, just because they got beat by the Pats last week. You didn't know. Everyone was saying how poor they looked, and they got shut out, and they did. So then to come out and go to the Chiefs and almost win away, really with the help of some referee calls towards the end, I think you walk away from that being like, yeah, we're 0-2, but we're going to be okay. I think the Bengals are back.
You think they're back?
Yeah.
They're 0-2.
0-2, but they just almost beat Super Bowl champions at their home. Joe Burrow, 258, 2 touchdowns.
Last year when the Lions beat the Chiefs opening week, did you say the Lions are back?
Well, the Lions were never there, so they can't be back if you're not there.
The Raiders beat the Chiefs in Kansas City last year. Do you say the Raiders are back?
Again, the Raiders have never been there. The Bengals have been there. They've fallen away last year. They're back. That's what I mean by they're back.
You're saying they've been to the big one in the last 4 years, right? I mean 5 years.
I don't know. I saw some bad mojo out there. I guess I'd watched a different game. I don't know.
Are you speaking? What was the bad mojo you saw, Chris?
On the Bengals. I don't like that T. Higgins has yet to practice a day when nobody can even tell me if he's hurt or not, because he definitely wants to get paid. I thought Jamar Chase, I thought that was a very interesting play when he went at the ref, because he thought he had got hip tackled when he really didn't get hip tackled and cost them a penalty. I just feel like there's some undisciplined football going on with some frustrated players that knows they're not going to get paid by a cheap organization. And you have Joe Burrow with a terrible offensive line running for his life yet again, because like he's trying to keep it all together in a Brady-esque sense. But I don't know. I mean, I guess you could say that it was a moral victory, but I just don't think the Chiefs are they're just not playing at level 10 right now, just because I think that they're just kind of booking in. I haven't even seen, has Kelsey caught a pass this year? I don't even see it.
He's my tight end too. He's killing me. He's not getting anything.
I see Taylor Swift more than I see Travis Kelce in the game. I don't know where he's at. But then all of a sudden the playoffs are going to come along. He'll get 12 catches for 120 and 2 touchdowns, because that's just kind of what they do. The biggest issue with the Chiefs was Pacheco breaking his leg. That's a big deal for them.
My next question: how big a loss is that?
That's a huge loss for them. I mean, they are really. I know they got Patrick Mahomes, just like we were talking about the Dolphins. They are a run first to set up the pass team right now. And Pacheco is a hard-nosed runner. He doesn't average a lot per carry, but he beats those defenses down. And they have no option for him. I mean, they just signed Kareem Hunt to the practice squad. So they have Carson Steele, who's an undrafted, rookie who just is coming out of nowhere. He's supposed to be starting now. But they have Perrine, who's kind of like a passing third down specialist, and now a old Kareem Hunt that hasn't played in the NFL for a while. So I think people are kind of glossing over them losing him, and I think that's going to be a little bigger deal than people think.
Yeah. I kind of looked at it. I'm kind of with Mark. I agree with both of you in a sense. I do think, Bengals, I think they definitely should have walked away with a W on Sunday. I mean, Bengals, in my opinion, thought they played a better game, and they should have won. But either that can, like Mark said, they walk away saying hey, we can compete. We're here. We're 0-2, but hey, we got a long schedule ahead of us. Or they can say we're 0-2. And like you said, Chris, we don't know what the dynamics are inside the locker room right now. I can understand, obviously there's some tension going on within that franchise for sure. So, it could go either way.
I read something crazy the other day that said that like the Bengals have only like re-signed, gave a player an extension during the season one time in the last 20 years or something like that. Like, what are they doing? Like, they don't sign players during the season?
Yeah, I think that like came out for Jamar Chase as well. Pretty much as soon as the season started, they went, he's not going to talk about it. I get Jamar's reaction, to be fair, because if you think you get hip job tackled, which we know is a dangerous tackle, and you haven't signed yet, and there's a chance that you injure yourself. Like, I'd be pissed too if the refs didn't call it, even though it wasn't. But he's frustrated, you can tell that. But like, when it comes to winning, I think Joe Burrow's a winner, and I think that rubs off on that team, so they'll put all that aside. Whatever happened to Clyde Edwards-Helaire? Like, he's still on the Chiefs, but that guy
He's dealing with PTSD.
Oh, that's right. He got the PTSD.
Yeah.
What was that from again? Car crash?
I'm not sure where it stems from.
Like,
but I know.
the reason why they got Pacheco is because they know he wasn't, CEH wasn't the guy. So I don't think you can't just throw him back in there. Okay, you're the guy now. We replaced you, and like we don't really need you. I mean, you would, if that was the case, he would be your second or your third guy. But yeah, he's not even really on the team right now.
No, it's just funny that they went and signed a guy that they cut 6 years ago for kicking a woman in an elevator.
Yeah.
Being Kareem Hunt. So, like, are you that desperate? You had to go back.
Shows you how desperate they are. Absolutely.
And honestly, guys, we could be saying the Chiefs. I mean, honestly, if you look at the last 2 weeks, Chiefs could easily be 0-2 right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, so it's, yeah.
All right. So, another 0-2 team from the North, the Ravens. Are you more concerned about them or more concerned about the Bengals?
Told you.
I'm concerned about the Ravens. I mean, I had them as my pick of the week last week. With the 9 points spread. And wow, that did not end up pretty. I mean, that good win on the Raiders, man. They came in there and they did their thing, but I'm concerned for the Ravens. I mean,
and the worst part is, like, if you come out flat and somebody beats you, that's fine. But they were up in this game, right? And at home, and let the Raiders let Gardner Minshew come back on you at home when you lost the first week and you had a long week off.
All it took was Max Crosby to go talk to Minshew right there and just give him a little.
That was cool.
And all of a sudden, the Raiders are, a team we haven't seen yet. So, like, yeah.
The Ravens have they've got form with these like late game crashes. They did it last year against Miami, a few games last year where they were ahead and the last quarter couldn't put it away and lost. So disappointing. I'm concerned about Derrick Henry. He just doesn't seem, he looks like he's lost a step. So that whole dynamic is not working. We spoke last week about Lamar having to run too much. And he's a game where he doesn't run as much and they lose. They got to figure some things out for sure.
Maybe losing their boy to your team, maybe it's having a bigger impact than we thought. Maybe the defense is struggling a little bit more early in the season than.
Yeah, and I do agree with you too, Mark, on the Derrick Henry. I mean, that guy was a horse for the Titans, and I mean they ran him to death. Mm-hmm. And when he went to the Ravens, I just thought, like, I mean, how many more hits and can Derrick Henry take? He's just such a tough runner, but eventually your body's going to wear down. You're not.
That's a game you should win. Now you look at their schedule; they got Dallas, Buffalo, and Cincinnati. Two of the 3 games away the next 3 weeks. So you didn't beat the Raiders. You're about to pay for it now.
Yeah, that's gonna be a tough start. All right, Chris, floor's yours. Packers. Talk to me about it.
You want me to talk about that game? I mean, I'll try to make it as interesting as I could. I mean, I'm a Packers fan. I got a little bored with it, But no, I think the overall aspect of the game, I think it shows you what a great coach Matt LaFleur is to get Malik Willis ready and not put too much on his plate to win the game. So, I mean, he only threw the ball 14 times. It was very situational. So if it was 3rd and long, he would do a short pass, either short screens, really nothing downfield at all. They ran the ball 53 times, which is the most rushes they've had in a game, I think, since 1977. The surprising thing was that the Colts couldn't stop it when you knew that's what Green Bay was going to do coming into the game. So most of those yards were in the first half. The Colts did make some adjustments in the second half and kind of toned that down a little bit. But no, I thought it was a good win from Green Bay. Keeps us in the mix until Jordan Love comes back, which could be sooner than later, based on what I'm hearing. And I thought it was a good win for them. But on the other side of it, I think it shows you, there's been a lot of talk about early in the season about how much rushing the teams are doing as opposed to passing, and if it's changing trends. The problem is, and look at a game like this. They ran the ball 53 times for 261 yards, dominated the time of possession, and they were one Anthony Richardson chuck into the end zone away from losing that game. So the problem with running the ball so much is you cannot score a lot of points that way. You're just not going to put up big numbers that way, and it keeps the other team in the running. So Richardson threw 3 interceptions. Like I said, Green Bay did everything right, and it still was a close game. So that's what makes me nervous about when you run the ball so many times and you try to control the possession. You're just not getting enough big plays as opposed to what we saw the Saints do when they're putting up just monster plays, huge passes early in the game, and they put the game away by halftime. So I kind of, it's kind of my Packers take and then my overall NFL trends take that we're seeing through the first 2 weeks of the season.
I don't know. If I was you, I'd be so excited that you have Jordan Love out and LaFleur like that can just be like, all right, we're going to run the ball and just set up this dominant run game to have that in your back pocket.
He's a great offensive coach. He doesn't really get a lot of play because he had Aaron Rodgers for so long, but I think he's really good on the offensive side of the ball, and their defense played well, but it's hard to tell with my man AR out there just chucking it and throwing
even
caution
with all
to
that
the
running. It's a great effort a great W because Colts like no slack on defense. They got a pretty decent defense, so it's a heck of a win.
I won't talk too much about Seattle. Geno might be a guy. What a game from him. Played really well. Jackson Smith and Jigba, another Ohio State wide receiver. He had his breakout game. He had 11 receptions for 117 yards. So he looked really good. DK Metcalf looked good. Offensively, we looked good. We couldn't stop the run. That was a little bit frustrating, but I trust Mike McDonald. I'm excited. I think we're heading in the right direction. We should beat the Dolphins this week, and then I think we play the Bills or someone. So it's going to get tough, but I'm excited.
Well, you guys just have that, get that advantage with the. What were y'all in New England this week, though, right?
Yeah, we were away.
Okay. I was going to say you
Dolphins,
had the 12th
they got
man.
Dolphins.
I was going to say you had the 12th man there, but you didn't have it on this.
No. They'll be here this week for whoever the Dolphins running out at quarterback. Falcons-Eagles. Derek, you called this game on Monday.
Yeah.
Falcons still looked a little slow, but got the win, and I think it's only going to go up from there.
Yeah, I did like the win, no, but it kind of like Chris was saying with the Packers, Falcons went into Philly and got the win, and that's all you can ask for. Kirk Cousins came in the clutch, hitting London with that late quarter touchdown there in the fourth. So, Eagles definitely probably gave it away. I think y'all saw that Barkley drop. They had converted there, game would have been over. But hey, Falcons get the win. I love it. They had to though with the Bucks and Saints now sitting 2-0. Falcons needed that win to stay in there. So
yeah, that division might be harder than what they expected it to be. I felt like Sirianni was copping a lot of flack for that throw on third down, the one that Saquon dropped. But he was wide open. He catches that ball, it's game over. So I think it was the right call.
Great pass, routine. He just dropped it. All there was to it.
Any concerns for the Eagles, Chris? They've looked a little shaky first 2 weeks.
Concerns. They got talk about bad mojo. Yeah, they got a lot of concerns going on over there. So I don't know what that last drive was. I don't know what defense that is. I don't really know what happened there. There was guys open 30 yards down the field on every single play. I don't understand NFL teams. You dominate a team all day, and then just because it's a last second drive or last minute drive, you totally change the way you play defense. I've never understood it. I never will understand it. They had the game in hand. They gave it away. The good thing is that division has been very bad so far this year. So there's really no team that jumps off the page for you. So, the Eagles can still easily win that division, but the Eagles are supposed to be a Super Bowl caliber team, and we're not seeing that. We didn't see that week 1. We definitely didn't see it week 2. So we'll see what they do going forward. But yeah, definitely disappointing. A.J. Brown's going to be out for an indeterminate amount of time. He's a big part of their offense, and we know their defense has been bad. So, yeah, definitely some red flags in Philly right now.
So, quickly, our next segment's going to be most impressive team so far and least impressive. Are the Eagles the least impressive for you? For anyone here? Or no?
I don't think for me.
Not the least impressive. They won a game.
And when I say least impressive, it's got to be relative to expectations. So I'm not going to put the Giants or the Panthers because I expected them to be dog shit, and they are dog shit. So it's like they're meeting expectations. Derek, who's been your least impressive team so far?
For me, I'm going with the Ravens. I have not been impressed with them. I had them winning the division, and 2 tough weeks now, 2 losses, 0-2, and they need to get a W soon. But yeah, least impressive for me is the Ravens at the moment.
Chris?
Trevor, get him out of there. Doug Peterson, get him out of there. It's embarrassing. He scored 13 points at home to the Browns, who are just reeling after getting trounced by Dallas. Yeah, Jags.
Man, they really broke your heart last year, didn't they?
Huh? What
I
do you
said
mean?
they really broke your heart last year.
Well, I told you I jumped off that train. Right now. I'm glad I did because they are terrible.
You went on the Colts train though, then, right?
I did. I'm not giving up on the Colts yet, though. I'm not giving up on the Colts yet. I have hope.
How much longer does Trevor get before we say maybe he's not the guy? Because this is year 3 now, is it?
I say he's not. This is year 4.
Year 4.
This is year 4. He should. He should. If he's gonna be the guy, he should be the guy by now.
I've just never seen him consistently over a 3 or 4 game span play well at all. Like a good throw here, a good game here, but consistently, I haven't seen it at all.
I'm done with him. I give up. I'm done.
All right. My least impressive team, I'm going to say the Lions because they've had 2 home games. They got out of jail against the Rams, who were beat up at the time and got trounced by the Cardinals this week.
Yeah.
And then to lose at home to the Bucks is not a good sign, especially when you only score 16 points at home. And everyone had this team as like a surefire NFC championship caliber team, which they still might be, but I think it's been a pretty disappointing start considered, the lofty expectations they had this year. Most impressive. Derek, who have you been most impressed with?
The Aints. I'm impressed with the Saints, man. They look good. Yeah, I like their offense. I'm impressed.
Yeah. Chris?
Charger Nation. Let's roll. I told y'all. Watch out for them Chargers. So, I think they're going to take business this week against Pittsburgh. They're going to be 3-0. So let's go.
Yeah, well, it looks like Harbour's got a good little system going on down there. They're all playing for each other, and it's been exciting.
It's all those pep talks he has with
That's right.
Yeah, and the pep talks. I had Minnesota just because the 2-0 obviously, but the scheme the Flores drew up that was so impressive against the 49ers, I think was pretty cool. Not to mention Sam Darnold is lighting it up. So good for them. All right, we're about to wrap it up. Any games this week that we're looking forward to on the NFL side? A lot of close games. So should be good.
Derek, what you got?
Yeah, I guess the game I'll be looking at. I'm kind of excited to watch this Texans and Vikings game.
Yeah,
I
kind of like that one. Hey, 2-0, both 2-0 teams. I like the Texans. I want to see what the Vikings can do against them, and hey, I'll be watching that game.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good one, especially given what I just said. Like Minnesota seemed to have a really great defensive scheme in place. Darnold doing his job. Houston, I'm still riding CJ Stroud for MVP, but this is a big test for him.
Yep.
Chris?
Chiefs Falcons for sure. See if the Falcons can hold up against a marquee opponent, and then Cowboys Ravens has huge things for both teams. So if the Cowboys lose, they go 1-2. The Ravens lose, they go 0-3, and there's supposed to be 2 Super Bowl type teams. So whoever loses that game is going to be in a hole. And then obviously my Chargers Steelers. I'm not going to watch it because it's going to be a boring game, but I'm interested to see who wins, just to see who comes out 3. That's all.
Yeah, Baltimore are favorites in the game at Dallas. That's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah, I'll stay away from it.
Who you got, Mark? What's your game you're looking forward to?
He's watching them Hawks play them Dolphins.
Yeah, we're in the afternoon though, so unfortunately the Panthers and Raiders are on the same time, so I'll have to miss that one, which I was really pumped about. No, I'll go Philadelphia and New Orleans.
Yeah.
Again, same kind of similar to other games. Like Philadelphia has underperformed, Saints have overperformed. Let's see how they go against each other. Should be a good one.
Yeah.
All right. So that was a jam-packed show. Covered a lot. Any final thoughts, guys, heading into the weekend?
Just no more injuries, please. We talked about it before the season started, and the injury bug feels like it hits harder and harder every year. And teams have just been decimated. Fantasy teams have been decimated. Quarterback, I mean, it's just across the board. So I'd like to see some teams get out clean, so we can actually talk about and predict what's going to happen. It's so hard to predict what happens when you have no idea when these marquee guys go down.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't even know if it matters who you get on your fantasy team anymore. Like it's just a matter of whose roster can stay healthy enough to get through the season.
War of attrition, absolutely.
So and I'm looking forward to the college lineup this weekend too is going to be pretty good. I like that, and my dogs hopefully good bye week and they can come back well rested for a big game against Bama next weekend. So
that's gonna be a huge one. Can't wait to talk about that. I'm just looking forward to more upsets. I love this part of the year when no one has any idea. So it's good to see these underdogs doing well, and it's been fun. So, all right, we'll wrap it up there. Thanks for listening, everyone. Enjoy the week. We'll be back next week to talk about all the games and look forward to chatting to you guys then. So have a good week.
Sounds good.
All right. Till next time. Peace out.
See you later. All right.